Hello everyone, welcome to Quadrant Boots. So today we are going to discuss about the topic how to set up a VPN in 5 minutes. Okay, so for free. Free means basically we are not going to pay anything for the software, VPN software. It's going to run for free and you can use it for any number of devices. Okay, so there is no payment associated with this. And personally I have tested this with like several thousands of devices, so this is like a very scalable solution, and I've been using this since like past several years. So it's a very stable solution, so and we don't need much maintenance in maintaining this one. Okay, so before getting into the installation steps, I'll explain the fundamentals of VPN. So VPN stands for virtual private network. Okay, virtual private network. Virtual private network means a private network, a single network. It's a virtual one. Okay, virtual one means it's not a physical one. So a network which joins or basically brings multiple network devices basically devices together. Okay, so it could be a computer, it could be a mobile phone. Okay, so it could be like a network device, so it could be anything. Okay, so it could basically bring everything under a virtual network. So these devices may be physically connected to some other network. Physically connected means, let's say I am traveling. Okay, so a person is traveling, so he's outside his house. Okay, and he has a laptop also with him, and maybe he has a desktop computer at home. Okay, so let's say this is a house. Okay, and person is traveling outside, and so he has a mobile phone and he has a laptop, and at home he has desktop computer. He has a desktop computer at home. So he wanted to basically communicate, and he has another device. Let's say he has a network storage also, a NAS. Okay, okay, he has a network device also. So NAS and desktop, mobile and laptop. Okay, so the requirement is to bring all these to a local network. Okay, so by default, like in the normal way, what will happen? So he has a router at home. Okay, a router at home. So these devices at home will be connected to the home router. These devices at home will be connected to the home router. And the mobile device will basically connect to the mobile provider, the internet provided by the mobile provider, and laptop like basically based on the network he connects. Okay, so it will be all connected to different networks. So this will not interact each other through a local private network. So if you want to basically get all these in a local private network, so we can use something called VPN. Okay, so let's say if he set up say VPN somewhere outside, or he can even set it up at home. Okay, so what will happen is this VPN will bring all these together. So right now I am keeping the VPN outside, but he can even keep the VPN inside home. Okay, so the idea is all these devices, okay, all these devices will join the same network. Okay, will be part of the same network, so that this person can interact from any of these devices locally. Okay, he don't need to basically use any other technology or any other mechanism to interact each other. So he can basically connect to, for example, the mobile can interact with the desktop directly, mobile can access the storage directly, the laptop can access the storage directly, the laptop can access the desktop using the local private IP. Okay, so all the interactions will become a local communication. Similarly, so and this connection also will be secure, so it will not go outside. Okay, it will not go directly to the internet, it will be a secure tunnel. So it's basically a secure tunnel. Okay, and also the traffic from the mobile, the second thing. So one is the intercommunication between the devices. Second thing is, let's say if he is accessing the web from the mobile, it will not go directly from the mobile, it will first go to the through the VPN tunnel, and it goes outside to the internet. Okay, goes outside the internet, goes to the internet through the VPN. Okay, so there will be an intermediate layer. Okay, so the mobile will not be directly exposed to the internet, there will be an intermediate layer between the mobile and the internet. Okay, so that way means he will hide himself behind the VPN. Okay, the devices will hide behind the VPN. So then this is the second thing. Okay, the third advantage, so let me write down the advantages. One is connect devices together through a virtual private network. Okay, so as this is virtual, okay, so as the physical network is different, and the VPN basically provides a virtually available local network. That's why we call virtual private network. Second thing is devices hide behind VPN. So hide behind VPN. This improves security, right? Okay, so third use case is, let's say he wants to access, let's say the person is traveling outside his country. Okay, let's say the person is from US and he is traveling to UK, and he needs to access some resources which is only accessible from US. So this VPN will help in achieving that particular use case. So let's say if the VPN is in US, located in US, what will happen? When the person connects to the VPN, the device will automatically come under the US network. Okay, because this device will all connect to the US network. Okay, so then when the person access any website or anything, what will happen is, for the website, the traffic will look like a traffic coming from somewhere local. Okay, so same is applicable for anywhere. Let's say the person is in UK and he moved to US, he wanted to access something in the UK, so he can basically set up a VPN in UK and connect to the UK sites or system. Similarly, let's say he has some local resources at home, so some services at home, so he wanted to access that from outside. He can use the same thing. For example, he has a CCTV and CCTV, DVR or NVR. Okay, NVR. So, and he wanted to access it locally. So right now we have several mobile apps which can access, which enables the public access. But for example, you don't want to basically go through that external or third-party apps. He wanted to go with a local streaming kind of mechanism where he wants to route the traffic through his network. So in that scenario also he can use this VPN. So he will access it through the local IP address. Okay, so that means access from a different region. So it's basically, it acts as a proxy. Okay, so this acts as a proxy. So we can say proxy. Okay, proxy. Okay, so in this way we can access, on behalf of VPN, we can access some services from a different location. So this is like the high level overview of the VPN, need for VPN, etc. And people who are working on software systems, so most of the companies, they will have VPN. so that people who work from home, they can access the enterprise network through VPN. So there also people use VPN because they are extending their office network to home, the employee's home or outside office through a secure channel that is called VPN. And another use is like, they connect multiple offices. Okay, they connect multiple offices through VPN. Okay, so that is like, another use of VPN. Okay, so now let's get into the setup of a simple VPN. So I'm going to launch an EC2 instance. So a T2 micro is good enough for our use case. We will use Ubuntu OS. So I'm going to give the name VPN. So we will need a VPN server to be set up. That is what we are doing. So I'm going to select the Ubuntu OS. Okay, so I've selected Ubuntu. Now next is architecture. x86 is fine, and T2 micro instance is good enough because a T2 micro device can hold several hundreds of devices, small devices. If the traffic is very lightweight, you can bring several devices in a T2 micro machine, because here only the network traffic routing is going to happen. Okay, so then key pair, I have an existing key pair. I will use this key pair. Then traffic, okay, security group. So here you need to create a dedicated security group. Okay, so because there are some specific rules to be enabled. Okay, and also we need to keep this secure, right? So always create a dedicated security group for this purpose. So I'm using an already existing one because I'm just showing it for a demonstration purpose, but in your case you will have to create a dedicated one. Okay, so we will not configure the rules right now, we will configure it later. Disk storage, I am going with the default, but keep like the decent size for storage. It won't consume much storage because it is just going to install basic installables, and it's going to create some configurations. So there won't be much storage requirement, but ensure you have enough storage in the disk. And let's say if there are problems also, we can extend it later. Okay, I'm going to provision it. Okay, the instance got provisioned. Okay, so it's getting ready. So one important thing is, when you are setting up a VPN, so you will need a public IP address for this VPN machine. Okay, so another thing is, it's always recommended to it's basically we need a static public IP address. So in case of Amazon, what we need to attach an elastic IP address for the EC2 instance. Okay, the reason is, if this IP changes, so how the communication happens is basically as I explained here. So these devices will connect to the VPN server using a client software. Okay, so every VPN server will have a client software that helps the device to establish the connection to the VPN server. So the client communicates to the VPN server using the VPN server's public IP. Okay, so the VPN server's IP address or a domain name. Okay, so if this IP address changes, what will happen? The client configuration will have the old IP address, it will not be able to communicate. So if it changes, we'll end up in making or modifying IP address in all the client devices. Let's say we have 100 devices, what will happen? We'll have to make the changes in all the 100 devices. So that's the reason we'll need to keep a static public IP address. Okay, I would recommend keep attach a domain name, so that if there are changes with the IP address also, we can still update it in the domain name mapping, so that we don't need any configuration changes in the client devices. Okay, and this VPN setup is one more thing in nowadays, like IoT is very popular, and in IoT world, VPN is one of the important things, because this will help. This is the technology that is mostly used to connect or bring the edge devices together in a single network. Okay, so I think now our instance is ready. So let's connect to this EC2 instance. So I'll use putty. So I'll keep this address, SSH, auth, credentials. Okay, so now this instance accept, and the username is Ubuntu in case of an Ubuntu operating system. So let me change the settings to improve the appearance better. 14 or 16. Okay, so now we have logged in. So what I'll do is I'm going to log in as root. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are going to use a script which will easily help us to install the VPN in a machine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is there is something called PyVPN. Okay, you can search in internet PyVPN. So you will get this website. So this is a simple script, okay, a set of script that helps you to install VPN in Linux devices. Okay, so this is basically developed for Raspberry Pi, but it is not just for Raspberry Pi. You can use this for installing it in Raspberry Pi or any other type of devices. Okay, any Linux machines which has like an x86 processor. So we are going to, and this PyVPN basically helps you to install VPN using of two protocols. Okay, OpenVPN or WireGuard. So OpenVPN and WireGuard, these are two popular open source and secure VPN protocols available in the market. So OpenVPN is like a very old protocol. So maybe like personally I have been using it from almost like 10 plus years, and WireGuard is something that was recently developed. Both are very good VPN technologies or protocols. So WireGuard, it's basically the latest, and we can call it as like the fastest VPN protocol, because like it is developed after the evolution of mobile devices. So it is very lightweight compared to OpenVPN. But OpenVPN also we can install it in mobile devices. There are mobile client softwares available. Even WireGuard also we can install it in mobile devices, mobile as well as any other laptops, desktops and all. Okay, and it is supported in various different type of operating systems as well. So right now I'm going to install WireGuard. Okay, so but the installations are very simple, and this PyVPN script helps the installation, and it is basically it performs the internal configurations quickly. So instead of we manually doing it, we don't need, basically for installing VPN we don't really need PyVPN. We can directly install either OpenVPN or WireGuard, but this PyVPN script helps us to install it at a very high pace. Thanks this PyVPN team for basically building this script. So I'm executing this one. Okay, so this will basically install all the required packages. Okay, so it's doing all the verifications, everything. So we don't need to worry about that. We just need to execute this. It will ask for some questions. We just need to answer those. So with those questions, I think in a few minutes of time, this installation will be complete. Okay. So you can see like this. So right now it's telling the installer will transform your Raspberry Pi into an OpenVPN or a WireGuard server. So ours is not Raspberry Pi. Don't worry, you can proceed. Okay, so that's why it is telling it will set up the VPN with either OpenVPN protocol or WireGuard server. Okay, press OK, press enter, and then PyVPN server needs a static IP address. This was explained in the past. That is fine. Okay, so IPv6, this basically we need to force the IPv6 routing basically to block the leakage. So then next thing is basically about the elastic IP requirement. So we need to ensure we have an elastic IP address in this machine. Okay, this needs to be performed before the setup. So right now, since I am doing it for a test setup, I am not enabling it, but this is really required for a production grade setup. Okay, choose a local user that holds the OpenVPN configurations. Okay, OVPN configurations. So I'm going to select the existing one. So there is by default Ubuntu user is there. If you want to set it up in a different user, you can install that, add that user, and you can select that user. I'm going to go with the default one. So next, it is asking which VPN protocol to select, go with. So we have two options. One is WireGuard, second is OpenVPN. Okay, I'm going to go with WireGuard. So you can select whatever you want. Okay, so now it is installing the WireGuard. So simple. The installation is almost over. Okay, now it is asking the port. Okay, default port. So by default it is giving 5180. I'm going to use 443. Okay, so remember it is UDP 443. It's not TCP. Okay, so the port setting is 443. What we need is we need to whitelist this port in our security group. If you don't whitelist, we will not be able to connect to the server. So the communication between the client devices and the server will happen through this port. Okay, so now it is asking the DNS. Okay, so we can basically select any DNS. I'm going to go with whatever it is selected by default. So next is the public IP. So public IP also, this is the public IP of the device. Okay, device means basically our EC2 instance. So if you have, yeah, I'm going to select this one. So DNS means you can basically keep a custom DNS. So the server keys means internally the server has the central server key, so that will be generated, and this will be unique for every server, and the clients will get generated from the server using these keys. Okay, so now it is setting up the setup, I mean the VPN. Okay, so it is asking to set OK, and then this is related to the patches. So this, if you enable it, the installation will take care of like updating the security patches to the server. Okay, so now okay, and this is asking like, I mean, whether we want to reboot or not. So I am going to go no, I don't want to reboot it right now, but it is recommended to do a reboot. Okay, so now the installation configurations are all complete. Now the installation is complete. Now next part is, let's test this, right? So for testing this, what we need to create a VPN client. Client means the client or basically a client to be created in the server. So once we install this, what we will get is, there is something called PyVPN command line. Okay, so we can use PyVPN help. If you type this, you will see it has a series of options. There is add clients. Okay, this will list all the clients connected to the server. Okay, list all the clients. So okay, so QR code, basically this will generate the QR code. It's useful for the mobile app. So I'll show how to add a client. Okay, so the command to add a client is PyVPN add PN add. Okay, so now we need to add the name user01. Okay, so now if you see, the user01, the client user01 got created, right? So now if you see PyVPN list, you see user01, this client got generated, and it has a configuration, and this configuration is stored in a common location, that is home Ubuntu configs. It is stored in this location. Okay, and so what we can do is, we need this client configuration to be copied to the client device in order to connect to that VPN. Okay, so now let's set up a client device. Okay, so what we can do right now, let's list all the connected devices. Okay, PyVPN -c, there are no connected client devices. If you see, this is not connected. Bytes received, byte transferred, last seen not yet. Okay, because it is not yet connected. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to install the client software in my laptop. So just search for WireGuard client, okay, in internet. So you will see installation WireGuard, and here you will get the Windows installer. You can simply download this. Okay, so okay, so now this is the client. So what we need is, it is asking to import tunnel from file. So what we will do, so the configuration is there in home Ubuntu configs, right? So let's print the configuration. Okay, this is the configuration, right? So let's copy this, create a config file out of it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a config file here, text document. No, sorry, what I'll do is, I'll create fresh notepad, file, save as Okay, so I saved it. Clear? Okay, this is the configuration I saved. And before connecting to the VPN, public IP. What is my public IP? If you check in internet, so before connecting to VPN, my public IP address is this one, 148, this one. Okay, so now, and this is located somewhere in United Kingdom region. Okay, so and if you see my EC2 instance, it is in North Virginia region. Okay, so my EC2 instance is in North Virginia region. So now let's try connecting to that VPN. Okay, so I have loaded that configuration. Let's click on activate. Okay, so if I click on activate, what will happen? So what is my IP address? So when I clicked on activate, so what has happened is it got connected. Okay, it got connected to the VPN, but the internet got disconnected. The reason was because if you see my security group, okay, if you see the security rules in the security group, the UDP 443 was not enabled, okay, which was required for connecting to the VPN. Okay, so what we need is custom UDP. We need to enable the VPN port and connect from anywhere. Okay, so this is required to be enabled. If you don't enable this, what will happen? The VPN client will not be able to establish connectivity with the VPN server. So now let's do this activation once again. Okay, so now I am activating it again, and if you see now the transfer, you can see the data is getting transferred. And now let's verify what is my IP. Okay, so if you see the IP, when I check the internet, if you see 390.48.189, and if you see the EC2 instance's IP address, let's check it from the console. So EC2, if you see it from the console, the EC2 instance's IP is the same, 390.48.189. So that means, and also if you see the location, you see I am in Virginia. My laptop right now, it is connected to a network which is in Virginia. So basically the location, now I can access the sites also that is restricted to US location. Okay, so there are some sites that restricts these kind of VPNs, but basically I am right now under Virginia. And let's see, and similarly if you see the command prompt, okay, so we can basically ipconfig. So you will see an interface, an additional interface which is specific to this VPN. Now you see an IP 10.189.2.1.2.2. Okay, and also in that server, if you see, and if you see this, this is basically the VPN's IP. There is a VPN interface that got created. If you see inside the Ubuntu machine, the VPN server, so there also you will see an interface, a new interface, which is the VPN interface. You see 10.181.212.2. Okay, so this VPN IP series is, I have an extended network here. If you see 10.189.2.1.2.2, and this has 10.181.2.1.2.1. So a new network got created internally, and this interface is WG0, and this is what I have in my laptop as well. So the one that you see here is from the VPN server, and the one that I see here is the laptops. So my laptop is now part of the VPN's network, okay, the private network. So I can now connect with this machine through using this local IP address. Okay, so that is this 10 192.168.1.1. Okay, so we can basically create rules, everything, so that allows this communication. Let's see whether the ping happens. It should work. Okay, so now you see it's pinging. Basically the ping is from the server. Okay, so now let's see whether we can do SSH connectivity. So using this local IP address, it should work. So let me use this key. See? Okay, so now I am able to connect to this EC2 instance without using the public IP. I used the VPN private IP. I am able to access this. Let's say I have a series of machines in the field, okay, which is located in multiple places, and I can use, so all those, let's say all those are connected through to the internet using different networks, but I can bring all those under a single network using this VPN setup. So I hope this this video is helpful, and this is basically like the fundamental of what is behind a VPN. I'll show you one more thing before I stop. So there is a super cool feature in this one, which is the mobile QR. Okay, so PyVPN -QR, if you use -QR and the client name. So let's say I wanted to use this VPN to connect my mobile. There is a way to generate a QR code, and you can install the WireGuard client in your mobile. WireGuard client Android. So you can download this WireGuard client from Play Store. So this is basically the WireGuard Android client. So similarly you will get something from the iOS as well. You can install this in your mobile, okay, and then you can add this particular device by scanning this particular QR code. Okay, so this will configure the VPN client in your phone directly. Okay, so I hope this video is very useful. So feel free to comment below this video if you have any questions. So I'll definitely come and help you. Thank you very much for watching this video, and please subscribe this channel for